Hello. This is what a bird watcher looks like. It wasn't the standing ovation Chris promised, but I'll take it. Yes, for 48 years, I've had an ornithological fascination. But why bird watching? Consider a typical day. We wake up, we walk on man-made carpeting or flooring. We go make our breakfast, maybe get the kids ready for school, get ready for work ourselves. Now we go out to our car. We love our cars. It's on a cement pad in the garage, or maybe it's out on the street, on the asphalt. And you walk out of your house on that cement path, and I've seen all kinds of antics of people trying to avoid that little 6-foot strip of grass between the sidewalk and your car. They might go all the way down out of their way to a cement little path cutting across it, or the one I love the most is the little tippy toe, 1 foot in the middle of it, and then they push off to get to the curb and to their car. Don't want to dirty their shoes. This is something that I've coined as earth avoidance. And it's happening consciously and subconsciously in the United States and really all around the world as well. And so what about earth avoidance? Well, for thousands of years, humans were at one with Earth. Thousands of years, we were all ecologists. All farmers understood which birds ate which insects. All farmers waited to till their crop until all the young birds had fledged and flown off. Those who did fishing at the coasts, they understood which birds were diving towards which fish, knowing that the fish had just come up. And if it was big fish, it would be a certain kind of bird. And if it was small fish, it would be smaller birds. Now agriculture and fishing is all mechanized. The birds aren't even needed for that. And that's all happened in just the last 100 years versus thousands of years of being at one with Earth. And that's a shame. Consider that in America, 81% of the population lives in cities and urban areas. And that's happened really, it's doubled in just the last 100 years. And it's gone from 6% in the last 200 years. 81% of our population is living in 3% of the geographic land. Consciously and subconsciously, we are avoiding the earth. And it has ramifications. It isn't just happening in the United States off the charts. It's happening worldwide. The UN says that today we're at a tipping point. 55% of all people living in urban and city environments. And that has gone from a single digit to the 55% in just 75 little years, a little speck of time on the beach of all of time. And by 2050, just 3 decades away, we'll be over 2/3, 68% is the projection for people living in cities and urban areas. So we absolutely can expect something I call the human nature gap to even get wider and wider and wider. The human nature gap is causing all kinds of ramifications. Well, I'm a bird watcher. I get phone calls from people, particularly in May at the mating season, and they say there's this bird that's waking me up every morning. It's 2 loud notes. And it's the black-capped chickadee, and I know it instantly. And a year doesn't go by without somebody asking them about this bird waking them up at 5 a.m. Stop, look, and listen around your parked car at the curb, and you can hear this any May, anywhere in Illinois. Another bird that is common is the screech owl. The screech owl, I got a call once in Aurora, Illinois, a mile from my home. The person said, I'm walking my dog. I hear this eerie sound. I instantly knew it was the screech owl, a family of 2 adults and 3 little babies in a street right on a city street in Aurora. That little owl loves to eat large crickets, grasshoppers, and small rodents. But this bird, the whippoorwill is a bird that science recently came out with a study saying its numbers have been cut in half, 50% reduction during just the 40 years or so that I've been a bird watcher. The whippoorwill says its name. Whippoorwill. Many of us heard that on camping trips or in the background of movies, wherever there's a camping scene at night, or in old Daniel Boone shows or cowboy movies. But now that whippoorwill that eats hundreds and hundreds of insects per night has been cut in half. What will those insects do to us? How many more chemicals will we have to spray? How many more asthmatic children might we affect by the chemicals that we have to now spray because we are losing something natural? Perhaps the even better bird on that same list, cut in half, 50% of the numbers in just the last 40 years, is this horned lark. It is found from the tip of Alaska all the way down through every province of Canada and all the 48 lower states and Mexico. It is everywhere, and it's being affected by us in all kinds of ways everywhere. This human earth avoidance leads to smart, intelligent people, like a good friend of mine in my Kiwanis club who came up to me after I talked about the horned lark and said, humans aren't doing any of that, you tree huggers. And I just looked at him and said, well, that'd be like me having gone to Stephen Hawking and saying, yeah, black holes, swallowing solar system, you're an idiot. Same thing, not even realizing how offensive it is to tell me after 47 years that I don't know that this bird is cut in half, and I can start listing dozens of reasons why it's been cut in half in just 40 years after thousands of years of farmers appreciating it for its bug eating. The amazing thing is in Hawaii, before humans, there were 113 species. 71 are already extinct, and 31 of the remaining are endangered or threatened. And in Hawaii, Republicans, Democrats, they can all agree humans did it. It's easy. They tore down certain plants that were native. Certain birds have these hooked bills that had to get to certain nectar. By the way, Darwin could have written the exact same book on evolution on the Hawaiian Islands. There are birds on certain islands that never fly over to the other island based on the plant that's there. But if the plant goes away, the bird goes extinct. We also introduced sugarcane, and rats came from ships to live in the sugarcane, which brought malaria. And then mosquitoes would bite the rats and then bite the birds in their eyes, just wiping out entire species very, very quickly from malaria and other bird diseases. And then somebody got the great idea we need to introduce mongoose to eat the rats. But one is diurnal and one is nocturnal, so they didn't do their homework. And the mongoose instead loves eggs. It's easy to scamper up a vine and eat the eggs. So now we have a second mass extinction going on in Hawaii. And everybody can agree on that. But with the horned lark, it's the island of North America with dozens of reasons, and nobody can come to an agreement on the horned lark. Remember I talked about the plants going extinct? Well, 60% of all prescription drugs have some plant derivative. This rosy periwinkle is the reason leukemia goes into remission 9 out of 10 times. It was discovered in Madagascar. Where it was discovered is now nearly extinct. What other plants are we putting extinct that could help us? So yes, I'm a very serious bird watcher. I've been all the way to the tip of Alaska, all the way down to Antarctica. I had to fight billions of mosquitoes, literally, in Alaska. Mosquitoes so thick you couldn't see a bird across a small pond. You had to walk around just to identify the bird because the fog of mosquitoes was so thick. Flew out to St. Lawrence Island. St. Lawrence Island is in the Bering Sea. And yes, you can see you can see Russia from Alaska. And you can see it every day from that point. And we'd stand there with our tripods and our scopes looking for rare seabirds. And yes, the polar bears would come, and we saw that they were so hungry they were able and willing to eat anything. Best theory is somebody had bacon grease on their hand. We don't know. Down in Antarctica, in Zodiac, zipping around icebergs and sea lions and leopard seals, and coming up to a wandering albatross with a 12-foot wingspan, standing about 3 to 4 feet high. This picture gives you the concept of the size of this bird, so dependent on the krill and the nutrient-rich waters around it. And of course, everybody's favorite, the penguin. That's an Adelie penguin where the male brings a little rock to the female. And after they do a little head dance, if the rock is accepted, then soon you have a nest and some chicks, and everybody's happy. So I thought I would give it a shot with my wife. And she accepted the rock, and it's no accident that about a year later, she was pregnant with our first daughter, Veronica, and then soon after that with our second daughter, Jackie. And those are Gentoo penguins amongst that colony that were watching our little mating ritual. But seriously, bird watching is the #1 reason people use wildlife in America. In 2016, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service collected 104 million surveys, And you could pick multiple reasons you were out there. And 45 million picked bird watching as the reason they were out there. Compare that to only 11 million hunters and 36 million anglers. If bird watchers could ever truly organize, we should be the single largest nonprofit organization lobbying for everything and anything in the world. And if you don't believe the numbers, a picture says 1,000 words. So bird watchers are so fanatical that when a rare bird shows up, we are ready to go. We are ready in just a minute's time. Most of us carry gear around in our car to make us incredibly ready in just a few minutes. These $5 rain pants from Goodwill, anyone could pick up. Birds can be found in the bottom of the deserts, all the way up to the top of mountains. Winter, summer, they are everywhere. We are able to close our nature gap by just carrying around some basic clothing with us. But bird watching also does another thing for me. Bird watching closes my spiritual gap. So many people are looking for feeding their spiritual hunger with things like goat yoga and, I don't mean to make fun of that. I really don't. I understand that there's this void that we're feeling. And they try meditation with water sounds in the background and all kinds of things. And I submit to you that if we all just closed our nature gap, that nature naturally feeds our spiritual hunger. That we didn't have this problem until we started moving into cities, migrating even, pardon the pun, but we started migrating into cities at such a rapid rate that we decided that we don't need nature any longer. And so we're gonna try to do it ourselves. The irony is, I was talking to somebody yesterday about to have a heart attack as they were racing to their yoga class. St. Francis walked amongst the earth. St. Francis said, you have to know the earth to know your creator. He said you could see your creator in mud and mosquitoes and worms. He said that in nature is the most humble form of anything that God ever created. All the great religions say this, that earth was made first. And then in the Bible, in fact, humans came on the 6th day. Birds are documented on the 5th day. And by the way, penguins mate for life, so that means penguins are better than humans. But in just a matter of minutes, anybody can choose to close their nature gap. Anybody can choose to follow dragonflies, butterflies, whatever it may be. But with birds, you have an opportunity to close your entire gap. The human nature gap is real. The human nature gap is having ramifications. And in just a quick minute, you can transform and start consciously closing your gap, eliminate that gap, and do it through bird watching. So I ask you, how are you gonna stop avoiding the earth and start closing your nature gap and find peace? Thank you.